and it's not announcing it because we've already announced it.
Ah, well, there you go. Hey, everybody. Welcome, YouTube. Welcome, all the beautiful people that are here. Andrew and Emmanuel and Harsha, Lewis, Monique's here, Nori's here, James here. I'm Newman. I'm hosting today for the final session of Open Spaces Gimbalabs Thursday governance sessions here, May 22nd. Um, we meet on Thursday. You can join us on YouTube. Um, and see how we run our governance and sort of decide how we want to spend our time. It's one of the essential questions of Gimbal Labs. How do we build? How do we help people solve problems using these wonderful technologies that we have access to? So today we have an exciting lineup. We've everybody's checked in. Harsha, while I share my screen, am I missing anything in our?
So we need to add Lewis's presentation to the list as well.
Aha, okay, we can do it. I want to share my whole screen. I want to share this screen. And here we go. And I'm going to pull these over here. And I'm going to pull this. Okay, so the agenda that we have is on our Notion board. And these are the projects that we have on the docket. Is everyone ready for to do proposal presentations and some consent rounds? I'm hoping to get all of these, most of these reviewed and properly consented to. Yeah, all right. Um, and let's start with, so these are the ones, Odin's Summer of Collaboration. We talked about this one. We've talked about all of these last week. The PPBL 2025 video updates from Nature Dopes. The community code review. That's Code Cow is the source, but Harsha and I have been working on this. And uh, the um, the mesh team's live coding sessions, wanting to support Gimbal Labs and look for collaboration or partnership from Gimbal Labs um, to continue live coding sessions. And Felix is the source on that, and he is will join us shortly. So we can hold off on that one. And then there's one more that's come through from Lewis. Harsha, where is that one?
Lewis, can you tell us what it's called so that we can add it in the list?
It's Jambala. What Jambala? Let me
J-
tell
Jimbala.
it.
Okay.
Jambhala. Jambhala. There's a H between B and A. Jambhala.
Cool.
Yeah,
All
like
right.
that. Like they're Krishnas, I think.
Which one?
They're Buddhism, I think it's Buddhism or Hinduism. Jambala, the peace, and prosperity.
Okay. I'm looking forward to hearing from it. We will
Anyway,
we'll
I
we'll fit it
digress.
in. We I think we can fit it in. Let's talk about Odin Summer of Collaboration. What do you think? What do you think, Nori? Are we ready to talk about this one?
Sure,
Nori?
let's do it.
Yeah, okay, here we go. Um, this th and as we talked about this last time, basically just the the short version of it is that it's a group of short projects that we can do during the summer, and based around network collaboration, working with other people, um, and and then it also has sort of a fun sort of feeling. As I scroll down, we've got it's sort of it's a collaboration between Gimbal Labs and Ada Echo, and other communities out there like Swarm, and the sort of the feeling of that Odin has. Um, the what we want to consent to because we've talked about this last week, and that's really just the resources required. And it's basically asking for contributors to make proposals and to participate in these projects. Um, eh, and then I think that we were asking for some matching funds, if that's correct. Nori,
Yeah.
help me out and fill in the gaps for us.
We had discussed potential matching funds from Gimbalabs. Leadership Academy is donating 5,000 ADA. We've rounded up another Catalyst group that could match that as well. So if Gimbalabs can throw in 5, then we'd have 15,000 ADA as incentivization throughout the summer to work on various experiments. So I think that was kind of the secondary ask was contributors and participation for those that are interested in that theme, and then some matching funds if it feels like it aligns with Gimbalab's purpose.
Okay. Let's do a clarifying round because I think that's super clear. It's basically asking, hey, people who are here, do you feel good about a 5,000 K matching fund to join with 10,000 of matching from other groups? And then do you feel good about contributing or participating in some of these proposals, making new proposals? And I'm thinking maybe Lewis might have the new proposals over the summer might fit into this Odin proposal. So let's have a little round, and I will go from the bottom up on my list. Jethro, and then Monique. Oh, wait a minute, Harsha, is that, are we in an appropriate spot for a clarifying question and response round?
I think so because we have gone through this last time, so I feel
Yep.
like it should be okay.
All right. And Jethro didn't come off of his mic last time, so he may be in a.
Hello?
Hey, Jethro.
Yes, sorry, I'm new here, so I
Of
don't
course.
really know much. But I think, yeah, I feel this is good.
Okay, that's good. Clear enough.
Yes.
Monique.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jethro. What do you have
I'm
something?
I apologize. Can you get back to me? I gotta just change locations and I'm just getting oriented, so I just kind of have to catch up a little bit.
Oh yeah, no worries. We'll skip over Nori as he's the presenter, and Martin, and then Lewis.
Um, I think it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Lewis, what do you think? And this is, you can ask questions or how you feel about it, or it's just, it feels good, or it feels like you have an objection or a concern.
Sorry, in regards to?
This new proposal, this Odin Summer of Collaboration, it's asking for community participation from Gimbalabs, so people, like maybe you'd want to participate, and 5,000 ADA of our treasury.
Oh, certainly. Yeah.
It's, say that again?
I mean, it's a good idea. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Feels
That's a good idea. I'm okay with it. Yeah.
perfect. Perfect. All right. Thank you much. And Harsha, and then Emmanuel. Thanks, Lewis.
Yeah, I think it's great too. Yeah, it's a good chance to like experiment and see what works, what doesn't work as far as collaboration is concerned.
Cool. Thank you, Harsha. Emmanuel, and then Alex.
Yeah, it's a nice proposal from my end. Yeah, no questions. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Okay, cool. I see Monique is ready. Go ahead, Monique.
Thank you for your patience. Yes, I'm comfortable. I with this proposal. I think it looks good. Exactly.
Nice. Nice. Okay, cool. Thanks, Monique. Alex, and then Code Cow.
Great idea. Looking for ways to contribute.
Right, right. Code Cow, thanks, Alex. Code Cow, and then Andrew. Code Cow. He may be off mic. We'll give him.
He put a love thing, so I'm assuming that's okay.
He's loving
Yes,
it. Okay.
I love it. I think it's cool.
Thanks, man. Andrew, and then James.
Yeah, it's all good for me. I think it's from a Gimbalabs community. I think it's the sort of thing we need to be taking part in. I think it's a good proposal.
Yep. Cool. All right, and then thanks, Andrew, and then James.
Yeah, I'm really excited about, especially because we won't have this space of open spaces for the next few months, that this does feel like it'll create a space for those of us who want to keep working on things. So I'm really excited about that. And the only thing I would wonder is it worth having some mechanism here where halfway through the summer, the Odin crew could request maybe another 5,000 ADA from the Gimbal Labs treasury if they've made great use of the funds to date.
Yep. That's sort of like in a review and adaptation,
Hmm.
like a midsummer review and possible addition.
Hmm.
And then Nor, I can go too. I think this is a great proposal because it asks again that question, like, hey, what do you want to do with your time? And hey, there is a giant group, a huge community. There are 12, 15 of us here, but there's many, many more in the extended community that aren't here. And we're all focused on building on Cardano and helping you to get a project across. And that's what I think this does. And it fills in that sort of fun passion project and deep focus work that the summertime should be. Low overhead, um, community effort, those things. And for those reasons, I really support this proposal. Nori, do you any based on that feedback, anything that you want to add?
I think absolutely, if it's going well and there's appetite for it, we can come back for a interim funding request. Just taking some of the feedback from last week, retrospectives, we'll just make them open so anybody can come and participate or review to see what happened that week, even if you didn't actively participate. And we'll be kind of reviewing the results of each experiment. And I don't know, I guess just excited to provide a space and continue some of the energy here and in some of the other communities over the summer as a place to get together as a network.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a place to get together as a network. Now, uh, I feel like it's ready for consent. Um, and we can do this through if there's any of the 15 folks that are here, we can give thumbs up or come off mic and give a consent. I think since we just did a round and there were no sort of questions, Andrew's got a thumbs up. I'm trying to bring it up in my screen. Oh, here we go. Yep, thumbs up, thumbs up. Harsha and Monique, Nori, Alex, Code Cow. I think we've achieved a consent. Okay. Okay, and as we like to do, let's go here and find summer. Oh no, we can do it right. We can do it right here at the top.
And at the same time, you're changing the status. Can you drop in the budget line so we see that outflow there?
Yeah, yep, yep, yep. And budget spent. Oh, I know where it is on the budget inflow. Where's our budget spent? I think it's here. Oh, funding source. Oh, here it is. Outflows right there. 5,000. And hooray, hooray. Let's go to in progress.
Yeah.
The Odin Summer Collab starts right now.
It's underway.
I love it. I love it. All right.
Thanks,
Okay, next
everybody.
one.
Congrats, everybody.
Yeah, this is fantastic. And very well done. We haven't even gotten to the top of the hour, so we're cruising along. Let's go over to Nature Dopes for the PPBL 2025 video updates. This one, as you recall, we also talked about this last week, and it's basically about updating the videos in the PPBL course. Andrew, are you ready to chat with us?
Yeah, yes, I'm here. Yeah, there was so from last week. I think there was this three main bits of feedback, and so I've updated the proposal slightly based on that. I think if you look at the details of the proposal first, but I'll just talk through what I've changed. I think the first thing was from Harsha. No, sorry, we'll start with Seb's feedback, which was about marketing, which I think he made a good point, which is something we need to be better at Gimbalabs. So, as part of the proposal, I've included a bit of a budget for a social media coordinator. So, every time a new video drops, there would be a post about it, but it would be um, trying to link in details about what we're doing, about how Gimbalabs works, sort of exposing, the how a democracy, how an open community-based democracy works, linking in with Andamio as well, possibly, to show how how we'll leverage Andamio at the same time. So that's been added to the proposal. So an actual dedicated social media coordinator. The other feedback was from James about the live coding sessions, and I think that's a really valid point. Just thinking back to the existing videos, I think it's module 205, some really good live coding sessions on there. However, the only thing I would say in terms of the practicality of it, I've put like a 2-month time frame on trying to get this completed. I think the reality of doing all 32 videos like that might be difficult.
Yeah.
But what I have added is the potential to extend the budget slightly for video creators by, say, an extra 2,000 ADA. Not quite the, it's in the budget a bit further down, but there's a bit of ADA in there, and that's basically to get for any community members that want to come together and do it. I think if we were to base it on that time constraint, there'd be room for about 8 to 10, maybe once a week to do that. And then the ADA reward for the video content would be double. So like 300 ADA. And that could be split between however those contributors want to do it. So there may be 2 or 3 contributors and anybody can turn up. And we can arrange that in the calendar. But that's going to be, rather than putting that in stone, I've added it in there as like an option. So I'm not sure how we felt about that. And then the third thing was, I think it was Harsh who talked about, because I don't know much about video editing, so I've basically doubled the amount for the video editor. So if you go down to the actual budget, the resources, there's one other thing to add, which is from the PPL maintainers course, we've agreed to send 2,000 ADA back. So the resources now would be, it would be 12,800, but if you minus 2,000 just based on the fact that we want to, from that proposal, we want to put back, then you would be looking at 10,800 plus a potential 1,200 for any potential live coding sessions.
Okay.
So, and I invite any further questions on that proposal.
For sure, for sure. The total outflow, like up here, like what we did for the Odin, wouldn't be that. Yeah. This would be like something. Okay, I can't do the math on the fly.
12,800, I think.
Yeah,
12,800.
12,800.
Okay. Okay, but this would be when it gets consented to. So, are there questions? Because you know, this would be the time to ask, like, okay, well, how exactly might it work? If there's anything that you like, and in particular, like how it affects you, Alex or Lewis or Monique or Sebastian. Um, this is the time to you can raise your hand like Harsha does, or we can afterwards we'll go on a round. Harsha, go ahead.
So I'm just curious. So you will basically say, hey, this is what needs to be done, and people come and that specific task on Andamio. Is that how you're thinking it would work?
Yeah, so I'll run through how I had it envisaged in my head because I think I did add a bit more detail to that, which I should have covered. So the idea with that would be there'd be 32 tasks put on Andamio. There'd be in each one of them would be tied an AIDA reward to complete a video. When the video is completed, that video would then be signed off by sort of like a coordinator. And I'm going to roll back a couple of steps. So in the way I want to leverage Andamio is that to be a video creator, you would need to have completed the Getting Started at Gimbalabs Module 101. With the proposal, there's a couple of, technically 3 more roles that I would consider more senior, sort of, which would be the video editor, the social media coordinator, and then sort of like a project lead, Andamio coordinator, and QA sign off. So once a video has been created, that could be posted on evidence on Andamio. The project lead, choke QA would check it off. If it's all okay, that AIDA would then be released to whoever's created the video. That could then be passed on to the video editor to finalize the video, put it on the YouTube channel, and then also the social media coordinator could then get involved and do what we need to do to get it posted around and get some exposure. That's how I had it in my head.
Okay. Harsha, what do you think?
And is the project lead, project coordinator, are these roles like set? Are people like already committed to these roles, or?
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I just muted. No, I haven't, and I'm writing the proposal, but in all honesty, I'm not entirely sure what. I'm not putting myself forward for anything particular at the moment. Obviously, I would definitely plan to be involved. I wasn't sure whether I would prefer to be making the videos rather than be a project lead. I just thought, so the project lead kind of needs to be someone who's got an idea of the material. Also is more of a, they're going to be handling the budget, the finances that are going to be in Andamio. So I think it needs to be somebody who has, more reputation within Gimbalabs to be handling that. Probably the video editor as well. But yeah, and the responsibilities haven't been set out.
So the idea is people from the community can come onto Andamio and see the bounties, and then like if I want 150 ADA, I'll make this video, and then I would submit that video to the project coordinator and the video editor, and then
No, yeah, you've perfectly summarized it there. That's exactly what you would happen. Yeah.
So I guess my first thought as an overall thing is it's really hard to make videos. It's really hard to do this properly. And the Gimbalabs video library is the best out there. I guess I would almost rather see Andrew do all of the videos and give him all the money than put it as a bounty for anybody to come in and do it and just kind of hope that they do it well. But I'm just kind of shooting from the hip. Not really sure, because if you think it's going to create a good product, then awesome. You're right. I'm down with that too. I would trust Andrew or anybody here to make that good product rather than a random person that we're trying to get for 150 ADA. Because like the professional that like is really going to make the awesome video, I don't know if they're going to be interested for 150 ADA, you know. And then maybe we get content that isn't really that good because we're just attracting the wrong kind of person. But in general, like I love the idea of expanding the video content. Like these courses have been so awesome for me, and I think, you know, any sort of budget going towards more videos, more of these sessions, I'm down for. I would give a thumbs up.
Thank you for the vote of confidence, Code Cow. I didn't envisage me taking on 32 videos though.
All right. Anyone with their hand up to either add on to this part or to bring up another thing? And if not, we can go on around. And you know, actually, I hate to do this, but I've got a concern, and that is that what Code Cow brings up, I think and one thing that would ease the concern might be to maybe shorten the duration and maybe only do the like 16 videos just to see, because we don't have like a firm commitment. Or if somebody was here that would come up and say like, somebody that's made videos in the past would say, hey, I will make a commitment to a certain number of videos. That might be, that might be something to sort of address the concern. It's not necessarily an objection, because I think if we were to fund this and we say, hey, this is great, that what we would get out would be edifying for Gimbalabs, meaning that we would have an Endamio project and there would be people making videos. Harsha and I would go through a session of us, bumbling around and doing, uh, you know, so I think it would be beneficial, but it might, for instance, it might need to have like a special community tag that doesn't sort of get into the pool of genuine high quality videos that Gimbalabs is known for, that Code Cow mentions. Andrew, what do you think in that sort of vein?
Yeah, I think you make some very good points. Definitely hear you about maybe we're just doing 16 at first. That makes a lot of sense. I think. Sorry, dog in the background. Yeah, I guess the way I'm coming from, and I hear your concerns, but like, I guess as I consider my position in Gimbalabs. We experiment and we try to do different things, and that's kind of what makes Gimbalabs so great. And the maintainers course was a risk in itself, because it was James who proposed that one, and he took on 4 people who weren't particularly well known to Gimbalabs, but that paid off because we put some trust in people. And I guess that's where I'm coming from, and I choose to try and to trust the community members that turn up week in, week out. But at the same time, yeah, maybe we were to just half it to 16 and choose the most relevant 16 that need updating the first as a precedent. That's the way we could go, and then maybe half the budget based on that.
And then, yeah, I mean, it's kind of my philosophy. It's certainly not the best, but if you're willing to make that change, it would sort of satisfy my thing. Even though even at 10,000, it's not a huge outlay, but it might help to sort of, eat the elephant in 2 bites kind of thing. And that would help you get the team together, knowing that, there'd be 2 more. So that's one concern that and it sounds like you can address it with that way. So that's that's a way we can modify. And that's an example of how this consent process works as we mitigate concerns. So that's mitigated my concern if you'll make that change.
Yes, certainly.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so looking for specific questions or concerns, clarifying questions or concern. Okay, hey Jethro, what do you think?
We can't hear you, Jethro.
Sorry, my speaker was off. Yeah, I was muted. I have a question, rather a suggestion. So I can work as a video contributor to edit the videos. That's okay. But then my question is, would what would be the file size of the files? Like, would they be like a 30-minute video, a 40-minute video? So like, is it those type of files that are very, very large? That's just
Yeah,
my question. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd envisage we're needing to use some sort of cloud system to upload them to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I think Jethro's question was how long do you think the videos would be, like, so that he knows like how much time he needs to put into editing those videos.
Okay. Well, the videos vary greatly. I mean, there's some low hanging fruit in there in a way, in that some of them would actually be quite short, but then some of the lessons are longer. So some, well, a live coding session could, last up to an hour, but there's some videos that may only need 10, 15 minutes. So it really does vary depending on the
Okay.
content
Okay.
of the lesson.
Okay. Okay. I get that. Thank you.
Monique, thanks, Jethro, and thank you for saying that you'll be a video editor. Monique, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Jethro.
I definitely a bit biased or maybe partial to this proposal, but definitely a fan of it. I like the modification from to 16 from 32, and I agree with Newman that you don't necessarily have to drop the budget necessarily. I think that that's a consideration. And then kind of with the kind of concerns around quality, I would just like implementing, and I apologize, I'm not as probably as intimate with the proposal as I should be, but like just like certain standards that, the creators, the contributors have to like meet for a video. Like there's some type of like, well, all videos need to have this type of these components need to be in it, or it kind of has to have like at least like a bullet point or checklist of things that the contributors have to like hit. And then on top of that too, just because they created it doesn't mean in the same vein that it's going to be accepted. It has to meet certain like guidelines, it has to meet certain standards or some other um step in there that has to be met. So they can't just create anything, toss it out, and we're like, fantastic. So I think like having that particular type of component, like standards or guidelines, would help with quality, potential quality concerns.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. In writing the proposal, I did actually start writing some things out based on that, and I think that'd be the job of the coordinator who's putting the tasks on Andamio to list that out of what's exactly being looked for. I just hadn't completed it, so because I wasn't necessarily putting myself forward for that. But yeah, I take that feedback on board. That's a very good point.
Excellent. Thanks, Monique. And Nori, what you got, Nori?
One question would be, I guess more for the Andamio team, is multi-sig supported? And if not, is it on the roadmap? And then just for like Catalyst does milestone reviews and they validate outputs and they have a couple of people weighing in, that might be an option as well. Instead of just laying it on the coordinator, set aside budget for somebody to do that work. If that's kind of how they want to engage better, is just to review the quality compared to the guidelines that should be created. Thanks, Mike. And then sign off or not. And then you don't have a single bottleneck person kind of doing all that work. But just some initial thoughts around that, because yeah, I think a single coordinator can lead to a bottleneck, especially if they're busy or away or all that. And it's a lot of work. So maybe that part could also be distributed throughout the community.
Okay, that's yeah, that's great, Nori. Yeah, and the Catalyst milestone moderation is something that we all kind of know, and that it would address a bottleneck at the single coordinator. Somebody that with just one rule. Yeah. Andrew, what do you think with that one? And maybe
No,
we'll
yeah,
take.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how to answer the question on the multi-sig, but I think it's a good point. I mean, the thing is, Andamio can be leveraged in a way where you have a couple of people who are added as project managers. That's right, who can sign off the videos. So that would also be an option, yeah, that could be split up.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Um,
Caesar
let's
has a
go.
couple of questions in the chat.
Oh, okay. Okay, Caesar says in the chat, are we doing live coding sessions for these? And will a team be gathered to work on this? And is the workload now only 16 videos?
Yeah, Caesar, maybe you joined a little bit late. So what I said that could be potential an extra budget set aside for community members who'd want to do it as a live coding session, and for that, the ADA reward for the video would be doubled, and it would be left to those contributors to split that between themselves. But we couldn't practically do it all as 32 live coding sessions if we were to follow a time constraint of around 2 months. So the option would be there for live coding sessions. A team would need to be gathered to work on this yet. I'm happy to reduce the workload down to 16 initially, as more of a considering that's an experiment in itself, because it's a community-led initiative. Maybe not community-led, but it's asking for community input.
Right.
So yeah, I guess that's what we're kind of deciding if we can sign off on now.
Nori, I think his hand has been up, but Alex, go ahead with your question. And thank you for Andrew and then Caesar answer in the chat if that answered your question.
I did. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. I did join late. Sorry about that, but appreciate the answer.
Good times. Good times. Thanks, Caesar. Alex, go ahead.
Sure. The question for me is, but who will decide which topics will be covered in the 16 videos?
Right.
It's a video for each lesson of the PPBL course. So the video content is the lesson itself.
But which of this? But there are 32 that needed updated videos. So which of the the new 16 would just take the 16, or just take whichever, or let the community decide? Is that? I think that might be what Alex.
I mean, we could let the community decide, but I guess of the 4 people who worked on the maintainers course, I know Lawrence doesn't join the open spaces as much, but in terms of who's on this call now, we've got myself, Caesar, and Mo. Yeah. And between the 3 of us, we could probably decide which 16 would be the most pertinent.
Yeah, that would be good. That would make sense to me.
Yeah, simply because we've just had the hands-on experience of the course.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah. And this is, and I see this, I see this as those maintainers being, the core contributors to this to this project. And Code Cow, go ahead. Let's see. Or wait a minute, Alex, was that good? Good answer.
Oh yeah, indeed. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Alex. And then Code Cow.
So I think being able to use Endamio for something is a really cool thing and worth funding in itself, right? Which this includes. I think the video courses, the library that we have here is mission critical. So that alone is worth funding, right? I like it all. I would say, like, I kind of feel bad because I kind of started the thing that got us to 16 videos, and I guess I didn't really have a concern. Like, I think this is all cool. I think it's all important, and if right Andrew thinks he can accomplish what is said, then I would vote for the whole thing. Whatever you ask, I think it's all important stuff and cool.
Nice. Okay. Feels like we're getting towards a round, and this could be. We've done enough, I think, clarifying questions, but I think we can get to a consent round. So with that sort of suggestion, are there any other share or clarifying questions? And with that, Harsha, what do you think? Time for a round?
Yeah, I think so. If there are no objections, we can jump to consent, but we just need to make sure if it's 16 or 32.
Yeah. Andrew.
Well,
Yeah.
let's say 16, I think, and then see how we get on. Because if 16, and then if it's gone very well, then we can come back and say let's do the other 16. And but I would base it on that 16 on myself, Mo, and Caesar agreeing on what those 16 should be if they are happy to do so.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. And Caesar gives a thumbs up, and Mo is saying, yeah. Okay. Let's go for a round, and let's see if I've got. Let's start. We'll go from my participants. There are 19 now. We're gonna start at the bottom and go up. Pabon. This is a consent round or question round for consent and question round on this proposal to create 16 videos and to have a roughly half 5,400 budget and to establish this project over the summer. What do you think?
Hi guys. No objections. I know closely the work that is required for building a version of the PPL. I know the work is needed. So the recordings and the videos are an essential part of the process. Until today, we have been doing that using our scarce um, uh, resources in some way, trying to do a good job around that. But I think it's time to keep a step, give a step into the evolution of the process, right? So I think this proposal gives to Gimbalabs the chance to try new things and explore new ways to do this work. So I think it's very proper, the proposal. And
Okay.
I have no objections. Congratulations.
All right. Thank you very much, Sebastian. Followed up with Nori.
I have no objections. I think it's good enough for now, safe enough to try, and I don't see anything in the proposal that would be of concern or damaging to the Gimbalabs vision. In fact, it supports it really well. So no objections from my side.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks, Nori. Monique. And then Martin.
I'm support this proposal. No objections for me.
Excellent. Thanks, Monique. Martin, and then Lewis.
Looks good. Creating good content is not easy. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Martin. Lewis, and then Jorge. Hey, Jorge.
Hi. So question I had. I'm seeing you guys want to record videos. What are these videos about? I mean, I built the Andamio platform, and the only thing I've attempted is like an icon course. So I'm wondering what the other videos are.
Yeah, thanks, Lewis. So there's a course on Andamio called PPBL 2025, which is hosted by Gimbalabs, and it's the content of those lessons on that course.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. Just remembered way back in 2022, we used to have the PPPL. I'd forgotten about it. So my bad.
Yes, it's the latest version of that course.
All right.
It's recently been updated.
And Jorge, and then Harsha. And Jorge, you can refrain, as I know that you just popped in.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just new to Gimbalabs and to its procedures, so I go to whatever the consensus of the community is. I'll abstain. Thank you.
Sure enough. Thanks, Jorge. Harsha, and then Felix. Hey, Felix.
No objections. Yep.
Okay.
Woo-hoo.
Felix, you
Happy
can
day, everyone.
also, if you're unsure, you can abstain or pass.
Everything I yet sound legit. Go for it. If anybody wants to do it, don't stop them. Go for it.
There you go. That's good. That's a good principle. Emmanuel, and then Code Cow. Thanks, Felix.
Yeah, I have no objections from my side. All good. Yeah, thanks, Nima.
Cool. Code Cow and Caesar.
Send it. Good luck, guys.
Nice. Thanks, Code Cow. Caesar, then Alex.
Ditto what Code Cow said.
All right. Alex and Jethro.
No objections.
Perfect. Joshua, what do you think?
No objections.
And Adrian, and then James.
Joined 10 minutes ago, so no opinion.
Okay. James, what do you think?
Yep, really happy about this one. No objections. And I think we're setting a really good precedent by saying that Caesar, Mo, and Andrew have some decision-making power here for incomplete plans because of the work they've done previously. And for a long time here at Gimbal Labs, one thing we've done is we've tested out prototypes like this of governance, right? Where we're all saying, hey, we see the work you all did, keep going with it. And that's such a perfect first round of development, right? We can imagine writing more formal rules into smart contracts or multi-sigs that do this later on. But for now, I think it feels really good to put this in everybody's hands and have you all running with it. Thank you.
Absolutely. And for myself, good enough for now, safe enough to try. I feel very confident that especially as somebody mentioned, the Andamio instance and getting Andamio in the hands of a bunch of users and getting that framework, I'm definitely I'm going to try my hand at recording a video. So Harsha, heads up. I feel like this is consented to, and I'll look around, and yeah, we can start the party emojis and thumbs up as you like. And while I bring up this screen and we pop in this, and we'll pop in the outflow of at the moment for 50.
12,008. Half of 12,000, 6,400.
6,400. And we'll go from planning to in progress. Nice. That's wonderful. Hooray!
Thanks, everyone.
Well done. And I think a good
Thanks,
example
Andrew.
of the process. Thank you very much, Andrew.
Oh, thank you, Gimbalabs community. That was a really good. I enjoyed that. That was good.
All right. Let's go to the next one. Oh, community code review. And I feel like we can do that. And I definitely want to save some time for this mesh from Felix.
If we bleed over, this is really important today. So yeah, if
Okay.
can we stick around into dev time if necessary?
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's do community code because I feel like we talked this one out quite a bit last week, and I feel like we've made some changes and we polished the proposal, and I feel like it's a good one. We can do a quick consent round. For my part, the owners of the project are Harsha, myself, and CodeCow. CodeCow had the idea based on, and I'll just give a little pre, and then hand it over to Harsha and CodeCow. This is basically to run that same kind of community code review that we did for CodeCow's project. And it reminded me of reading family stories, but instead of fairy tales, we're reading Aiken validator script. And so I asked ChatGPT to make this image, and hopefully this is an image that you all find delightful, like I did. Some of my favorite times is basically learning to read, and I think that it's an important skill that, to be honest, needs to be done in community. Reading something by yourself is not as much fun, especially when you're translating. So, with that being said, uh, this proposal driver, if I could read this in, the current situation is that reading and understanding smart contract code is a challenge for aspiring developers. Many open source projects lack an informal review or documentation before deployment, and like formal audits are super expensive. So this is a barrier. And what we want to offer is a learner first, community based code review series, a series of videos of these sessions that improve accessibility and comprehension of validator code and build developer skills, confidence, and really reputation, and offer valuable feedback to the builders or the open source maintainers. This proposal supports the Gimbalabs mission by creating an open, replicable, safe space where anyone, regardless of experience level and focused on the beginner, focused on the noob, who they can learn by doing, asking questions, and contributing to the improvement of real-world blockchain projects. I feel like that really summarizes it. And then, what do you think, CodeCow? Do you want to take us through a little bit of the other parts of the proposal? And Harsha?
Maybe Harsha could.
Yeah, sure. So the idea is for all of us to come together and learn how to read code because I think it's as important a skill as writing code. And I have struggled with it for a long time. And I think reading code along with Code Cow and Newman and James and Adrian and all was really, really helpful. And Code Cow also told us that it's helpful to him as a builder. So we thought we'll experiment with this to see if anything comes of this. And this proposal is an experiment in itself to see if people find it interesting to read code and learn how to read code. Yeah.
Yeah. So based on that, and you can always raise your hand, I do think, that we've got some intended outcomes. Um, but let's look at the details. So this project will host a series of 90-minute community code review sessions focused on open source Aiken contract repositories using a mob coding approach. And we looked into it, and actually what we were doing sort of fits this mob coding approach, and it formalizes some of the roles, and we're just use that as a basis. One of the design decisions is that we said we just want to think about Aiken smart contracts, not next, the front end. We just want to work on the validator code as we see that's the most important for this community. Here's our tagline: by noobs for noobs, a learner first auditing process. I don't know who brought that one up. I don't know if it was ChatGPT or if it was someone. But basically, there's a few roles, and 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 for the outset, and we're looking for community members to participate. But at the beginning, the three core contributors, CodeCow, myself, and Harsha, will fill these roles. And these are funded and unfunded some roles. So like we thought that maybe the facilitator could be an unfunded role because we want to make sure that the noob who's in the hot seat and is really taking the brunt of the sort of stress of it, and then to fund these other folks. We came up with a task list, basically running these sessions and then documenting them and posting them on YouTube. We came up with a couple of phases. This sort of pilot, and this is something that CodeCow, I think, was an epiphany for CodeCow, was he's like, oh no, why would people come to just a junior project that no one knows about? What we really want to find are projects that people know and care about. And then that sort of got us on these open source projects. And we found Lindfi. They've actually had each year they've had an audit by Anastasia Labs, Vacuum Labs, and TX Pipe, respectfully. But we could audit something like Yam4, which has some community support here in Gimbalabs, and the Asteria. We could just audit the Asteria code. There are.
I'll jump in and just say one thing there. Like I would say we don't want to do Asteria right away because we have that problem of having to teach people what Asteria is. And I think that the initial phase is like doing the biggest projects that we can get with that already have all of these audits. And then we can go through and build our videos and then build our audit PDFs and just kind of like figure out what we are producing and then compare it to other things that are already out there. Like Lenfi is a great example because it has all of these audits. So like we could go through in our mob coding approach and then we have some results after that. And then we could compare our results to what's already out there with Lenfi, and we can start to like figure out, where we need to take this thing. What are we actually doing? I think Harsha really said it perfectly. Like we're asking to experiment here. But what I see as deliverables is the videos of the mob coding and then also the PDFs of an audit, just like what we're looking at here. As like, that's what we're trying to figure out. How do we produce these things and how do we get to them in a Gimbalabs fashion? So that's the experiment.
Yes. Harsha gives a thumbs up to that. I agree wholeheartedly. And it feels in a Gimbalabs fashion is absolutely, there's lots of things that we really love about it in here. So getting to the nitty gritty, I'm passing over sort of evaluation criteria and the benefits because I think we've talked about them. And this is pretty good reading if you want to read the proposal. But here's something. So we want to do this over the summer, July, August, and September. We're sort of skipping June because there's going to be a lot of Farkas, I think, in June as we kind of transition over to the new model, and we want to run some pilot sessions and do those work. Here are the roles, and the reason why I want to pause here is, Felix or Jorge or Louis or Martin or Monique, I would love for you to fulfill some of these roles. The builder, that's somebody who represents the project. So if it's an open source project, it might not be, it might be not be necessary. It could be optional. The noob or the junior reviewer, and we love the word noob. It's not derogatory. Basically, the person that sits and pilots or drives in the mob programming terminology, and then a community expert to answer questions that come up and provide insights. Facilitator to host the selection or session. And then this promoter and admin. The promoter sort of is like what Pabon does for us currently in Gimbalabs, who creates posts and drums up support, posts in Twitter and Discord and other places where these communities might reside. So if we did LinFi over in the Discord for LinFi, and then with any of the junior coding communities, wherever there's people learning Aiken smart contracts, we want them to know about this and to attend these sessions and volunteer to be a junior reviewer, to be the noob. We have hard commitments, dedicated commitments from myself, Harsha, and CodeCow. We feel like we could probably do all these, and we're looking for more contributors. And I'll pause here for CodeCow or Harsha to anything.
Yeah, and the noobs don't have to volunteer because it's a paid role as well.
Right. Thinking about the paid, where's resources? Oh, I didn't put the budget. Oh no, the budget's not here, but I do have a budget worksheet, which I'll link to right here. So we were thinking that the budget could be between, can you guys see this? Between 5 and 10,000 ADA. And if we did a budget of 5, and so this is where we need to find consent. Like how much does the community, trust or want to put in on this project? This can be a kind of an on the fly thing. You can type it in the chat. But if the budget was 5,000 and we did 5 sessions, that would be 5,000 per session. And these, if it was distributed equally or among, say there were 2 experts that they would share a 250 ADA reward. We will use Andamio, and I think that's, if I can get an affirmative from James or about this would be an Andamio project.
Yeah, we can facilitate each approved proposal here, like the dissemination of these funds via Andamio.
Yeah. Yeah, and this could be and that's a big win simply because I feel like joining a project that gets me experience with Andamio, creating prerequisites, create a course with prerequisites, creating a project with credentials and evidence. I think just working and feeling, getting into that mindset is really a benefit. And it's available to any community member who wants to contribute to this project. So how do you feel about a 5,000 ADA budget for 5 sessions with this, this, or does anyone want to suggest a different budget? Do you feel like 250 ADA is something that's worth, a newbie to get in and drive around a code base? Okay, Harsha.
My personal opinion is instead of limiting it to sessions, maybe we can limit it to projects. Like, hey, we do the review for 1 project or 2 projects for 5K, and then depending on how the results are, we can ask for another 5K or something.
Right. Not sessions, but projects. And what we were thinking of, for instance, with LinFi, I mean, there's a lot of contracts there. It may take us 4 or 5 sessions. So maybe we want to do 2 projects. That might be kind of fun.
I would say
Maybe
1.
maybe it's easiest if it's calculated in validators.
Ah.
I think it's easier to think about in terms of projects because again we're trying to figure out what the end result is
Yeah,
going to
but
be.
you can have a project with 2 validators, which needs 1 session, and you can have a project
totally.
with 10 validators.
Yeah, I
10
agree.
sessions, I don't know.
We were looking at LenFi as our example, which had what I thought was like a week's, it was just a ton of validators. So I
Exactly, but
agree.
on
We
the
should
other
have
side,
something like that.
as your project, that was not so much. There were not so much validators.
Yeah, I don't think that should right. That's not worth the same amount of ADA if it's only 2 validators or something. I just
Right.
I don't know what that limit would be. I would just say it's a lot. Like we need to do big projects.
Yeah. And this is a validator with 300
Could it be
370
that one outcome of testing like this process on LenFi, if you went with LenFi, is after the first project, try to estimate a per validator cost for this kind of service?
Right, right.
I think that would be good, but I also think the Envy is maybe not the best first project as it is really complex.
Yeah, right. Okay, so suggested projects would be something that we would want to find.
Definitely, we just use that as an example, but really, I think there's probably a consensus here of what we should start with.
Adrian, could we do the new global state and instance validator as an initial test?
Yes, we could start with that.
Would you guys be willing to audit some new versions of Andamio contracts?
Oh, there you go.
Yes. The only thing I want to say is if we go for a bigger project, like let's say it was Pump Fun, and we release our videos about Pump Fun, we kind of capture all of that attention that Pump Fun already has. And we kind of get to ride the coattails of that attention. Whereas if we do something new like Endamio, we're going to be teaching people Endamio, which is great. And right, it's just we don't capture that that attention. So all is good. I would be down for whatever you guys want to start with.
Maybe it's better to not catch it in the first project as we have to learn it first.
Yes.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But those are the considerations that we thought about when we were picking out. And maybe I'd feel good about starting with the global state, a new Andamio contracts just to test it out, and then move into some project that has excitement within the community, and we can kind of ride the coattails of excitement. Eventually, it would be great to do that. In the proposal, we talked about a soft launch where we sort of pilot this out. So perhaps we do this and then a bigger one. We'll see. But what can we consent to now? That's the question. And Alex, what do you got for us?
There is a opportunity to kind of condense the value over of the proposal by looking deeper into it, like what do you mean by noob? Because if you're looking at the smart contract code and just reading it out and maybe writing comments, doesn't really get the understanding how it works. I suppose you have to improve its test coverage or something like this.
Yeah, I agree with Alex. I think there needs to be some definition who is a noob or also who is an expert and who defines who is an expert.
Yeah,
The
that's
way I
also a
thought
very good point.
the way I've thought about that is it's all us. I'm the noob, and then Harsh is the expert, or maybe Adrian is the expert or something. But it would be us.
Yeah,
And
but what qualifies Harsha for being an expert? So because
yeah,
there is a ADA amount that got paid to the expert, I think there should be a definition who is an expert.
so I think that everybody involved should get equal shares, no matter what role that they're in.
So
And
yeah, but would it mean that if a meeting has 10 people in it, they all get the same amount as there were 4 people?
No, I think we'd probably want some guardrails to kind of figure out what is the right amount of people involved. But the role of the noob is it's like the person that drives it that is kind of reading slowly and going line by line and like is really driving it, and asking questions. And the noob is in an environment of the mob, right? And that's everybody on the call, and they're kind of peer programming together, but the noob is the person that was driving it. But again, we would, I imagine we all switch that role. Like I do it one time, and then Harsha does it the next, and then Newman does it the next, and we kind of. But in general, it's really the mob, and we play these different roles amongst ourselves.
And just to and it's those definitions which do, and we have a couple of definitions. For instance, we thought that just to qualify it and raise it to a certain level is that a noob would be somebody that has graduated the Aiken PBL or is taking the Aiken PBL. But then likewise, the expert could be somebody that's graduated the PBL. We have a built-in prerequisite like that, and a noob and expert are relative terms, and then it also is just like I'm acting as a noob, meaning I'm going line by line and asking questions. And you can have newbie questions as somebody with a lot of experience, where you're just like, well, what is a so and so, or what is that primitive type used in this instance, or really going into fine-grained but newbie questions. It's a good discussion to have, definitely.
Yeah, I think noob is not the problem. The problem is more the expert, because I think it doesn't make much sense if there are four people who have not much experience in a call. Someone says he's the expert, but he is not really the expert.
Yeah, right. Yeah, let's say more experienced expert. Yeah. But yeah. It's the value, the way I see it, and it is a bit of a philosophy of the project, that the user story is going to a code review or someone explaining their code, and it's just the builder up there, and immediately they leave me behind, speaking personally, and there's really not much value to it. And I get the sense that it's really not like they've left the majority of the people behind. So there is different value that's being created, and we definitely want to focus a little more on those people that are in the middle of the PBL and are trying to get a wider socially sort of fun activity. And so that's like one of the key values of this type of session. Yeah. All right. And thanks for that input. Alex, you still got your hand up. You have a little more?
Oh, really? I forgot to lower it. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's a good idea because Cardano, new users of Cardano, it's quite intimidating for them to conform to the expectations of the developer community, for example. Because we are saying, oh, if you are a Cardano user, maybe or like if you're a developer, maybe you're running a Cardano node. But and so for me, for example, what does it make sense to review smart contract code if you don't have this as a background? So like some of the participants, like maybe they don't have this background. It would be quite confusing for them without the context of how it works. And that's why I emphasize, testing and trying to run the program, changing its parameters and explaining like in a live coding session what exactly changes about behavior of the problem, rather than studying just static computer code, which, I mean, if you don't run it, it's just text, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Thanks, Alex. Harsha, and then Lewis.
So Newman and Codecow might not agree with this, but the way I'm looking at this proposal is like someone that is new to Aiken learning how to read and comprehend like an Aiken validator. This is the first step before we actually call it like a real audit. This is just understanding what is going on with the validator, and so that like other people who are just learning can also get some use out of it. So that's where I stand.
Yeah, I agree with Harsha, and I think it should be clear in the communication to the outside that this is more of a review than an audit.
Ah.
I like that.
Yes, yeah. It sort of started the idea sort of started with that idea is like, wow, we're going to mainnet and an audit is $80,000. What can we do just to feel a little more confident about going to mainnet? But then it evolved into a much more educational, socializing and fun activity. I'm coming back to the fun and social activity simply one because of the summerness of it and the fun that I experienced as the noob, and then capitalizing on the value that CodeCow felt as somebody presenting their code, but it wouldn't have been as valuable to him, CodeCow, the maintainer or the builder, if Adrian and James weren't there to give that more experienced builder level forward thinking kind of context. So it definitely all fits together. Um, but this before Alex, before so this is it an audit? It's more like a retro. Adrian, is that San?
I think Adrian said code review, but
Code
Yeah,
review.
it's
I
more of
mean,
a review, I would say, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if the purpose would be to study audit and be able to provide the service, the question of who decides who is an expert is not solved there. But if someone wants to get into, how it works, there's a whole bunch of, things that explains how audit works. I think it's about 1,000 pages long altogether, around 3 or 4 books. And so, yeah, if you want to review that, that's also kind of thing.
Okay. Okay.
I think code review is and reading code together is really the better messaging here, and like what we should shoot for on this first step. Less of like, yeah, we're expert auditors, because like no, we're not, and the idea wasn't to like kind of say that. Like I would need an Adrian or James in the call with us, right? Like otherwise I can't really be that expert. So I think what Harsh has said of like we're trying to figure out how to read this, and we're teaching people how to read it, and we're doing it together. It's like that. That's it. I think that's a great thing to try to accomplish.
And let's get as I know that we're going to extend a little bit, but let's get to a consent on this. I feel like clarifying questions have been done, but let's get to sort of concerns and objections, or to give a consent vote in the round. For my part, this is what I want to do over the summer. Like this, I think would be a great like activity in lieu of the normal suspending the normal Gimbalabs activities like facilitating sessions here. I would love to dig into as a part of the Asteria work and etc. This would be this would be what I'd want to do with my coding friends, and I would hope that there is a bunch of little Newmans out there willing to play the noob role. Yeah, I think that'd be great. Okay, so community, let's have a little oh, Lewis, I think you've been having your hand up for a minute. Let's hear from you and then we'll go to a round.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I keep raising my hand, and every time I had a question, someone would answer it. So my hand has been up and down. So another point, could you also start with Jambala? I know most of you guys don't know about it.
Yeah, let's see where I think we'd love to hear a little bit from Felix, and then we can hear from you. And I think we can extend. I think we can do that in the next 20 minutes.
Okay.
How do you all feel about extending just a little bit into our dev stand-up? Harsh has got a thumbs up. Alex has got to get going. But Felix is okay with sticking around, and James is okay with sticking around. Let's Lewis, what do you think? Can you stick around just a little bit longer?
No worries.
Excellent, excellent. Okay. Oh, and then send any if yeah, we'll get up your you can either share screen or we can go from there. But let's have a consent round on this project for community code review. What do you think? And let's start with Sebastian and then go to Nori. I need to randomize these. This is like the same order. It's maybe even Sebastian's not here anymore. Hold on. I think he did leave. Let's do Monique or no, Nori.
For my side, no objections. I can't think of anything that's harmful or would go against Gimbalabs principles. I do think there's a little bit of fine tuning. There are a lot of questions brought up on the how, but the why is definitely solid for me. Yeah.
Beautiful.
No objection.
Beautiful. And then Monique and then Martin.
I support this proposal. No objection to.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks, Monique. Martin, and then Lewis and Jorge.
Yeah, sounds good. Code review, important. Maybe Dandelion and GC should be on the list later.
Yes. Yes. Love it. Thanks, Martin. And then Lewis and Jorge.
No objections from me. I'm okay with it.
Perfect. Perfect. Thanks. Jorge, and then we're going to bump over Harsha to Felix.
So will the code readers receive any payment for it? Or will just be a pedagogical exercise?
Yep, we've got this budget sort of allocation. This will be, depending on the final budget and how we present, it would be split evenly among these types. Yeah.
But they are supposed to be newbies, right? How are we going to know if they actually read the code and they are not only claiming the funds?
That's right. That's right. This is to be qualified. We do have a qualification of the participation in the PBL. And that is a good concern. Or unless it's an objection, do you feel like that's something that would stop the funding?
Also, just as a clarification, we'll be reviewing the code live on video.
So the expert, for example, Harsha, will be reviewing the code live to the newbies, and the newbies are going to receive payment. Is that the case?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, the newbie is the one reviewing the code, and the rest of the people, right now, let's put the expert role aside. The rest of them will be helping them review and understand the code. The mob will be helping.
The mob. I think that's. I really feel like we've confused people with these roles when it's like way more about the mob to me. But it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we can add that, and that's a good that's what objections and sort of clarifying, and that's a great clarifying question. So thank you, Jorge. This idea of what is like how these things work. Yeah, because and actually what I wrote down was who is an expert, someone who can explain the code, and it could be from anyone in this group, the people that are watching, and we do have an example here that we've sort of organically generated, and then there is examples of this idea of mob coding, and there's a link here in the proposal. And so thanks for that, Jorge. And then Felix, and then Emmanuel.
Same rationale as before. If anyone wants to step up and do it, don't stop them. Let them do.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and that's what the three of us are doing, is definitely stepping up to follow this good feeling that we got. Emmanuel, and then Andrew.
Yeah, this is really great. Because and I would agree with what Alex pointed out before he left, because I was like, if these are not it, then we are officially taking on the the Aiken code and audit it. But I support the point of view as a code review, right? So yeah, and I think it's going to bring promotion and other stuff, just like what Code Cow said on something like reviewing the weekend code of pump fund. So yeah, it's going to be nice. So yes.
Yeah. I definitely, and for those who don't know, that Emmanuel is leading a student group, and I definitely think this would be a wonderful, method or activity for a student group. I mean, basically, that's what we're doing for Gimbalabs. So
Sure.
thank you, Emmanuel. Andrew, maybe? Yeah, Andrew, and then Adrian.
Hey, this is going to be the last bit of input for me, so I can't stay on any further than for the tech stand up. I get what you guys are trying to do. I really like it. I was on the Aiken PBBL call a few weeks ago where you were reviewing Code Cows validators. It was a really good session. I get it. It hits the perfect balance of sort of Gimbalabs experimentation and sort of building value. So yeah, no problems for me. Green light for me.
Perfect. Excellent. Thanks, Andrew. Adrian, and then Jethro.
I think it's a great project or proposal. Yeah, as said, I think the different roles and the payment could be defined better, but I trust you guys that you will figure that out, so safe enough to try.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, thanks, Adrian, and then Jethro, and then James.
I don't know. So I don't really know what's going on, but I think with time I'll catch up. But I think this is a good proposal. Yeah, very good.
Okay. Thanks, Jethro, and then James.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think other people have said it. There's some details to work out here, but I think this points to a really powerful pattern. So I'm excited to see how this goes. And to the point earlier about, building excitement about something, as a stakeholder in Andamio, I would love to use a session like this to help build understanding and excitement about Andamio. So
Yep.
we'll be an eager participant when the time is right.
Excellent. Okay. Based on that, I feel let's move this to consent, and then I feel like the budget allocation in this first bit would be 5,000. And then that would get us through at least one project. And as we work the details out, as some folks have, Code Cow, Harsha, is that your sentiment?
Yeah, I'm gonna be happy doing this project with you guys. You know what the funding is, like you tell me what it is, and I'm gonna have fun with it.
Excellent. Harsha, what do you think?
No, I'm pretty happy with it. If we can get through at least one project, we'll know if we need to continue or if it's helping or not, and then we can continue or stop depending on what happens.
Okay, good. And then the immediate thing to assess out is which the starting project is, and we can do that with the next thing. And either Gimbalabs one. I do think that the LinFi might be too complicated, but we can find the appropriate project thumbs up from Harsha and Code Cow. What do you think? Yep, perfect. Okay, 5,000, and I'm moving it. I'm doing it. All right, here we go. In progress. The summertime gets closer to real. Okay, that's wonderful. Yay! All right. All right, all right. Emmanuel, what do you think?
Yeah. I was about to. It's not on this proposal. It's on our proposal. Maybe 2 minutes just to complete on Sebastian's question. And we also did some refinement on the on our budgeting, which was commented on because yes, because I think it has been concerted in the last week. So
You want
just
to
to
just
round it up.
present a short thing on the on your developers education?
Yeah, just to finalize it.
I want to get to Felix, and then we can
Yeah, we have
Felix just has
Felix and Lewis on the agenda that are looking for consent. Since we have consent here already, let's save this
Yeah.
for afterwards.
yeah, if you don't mind. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah.
And then Felix is a pretty streamlined, pretty short idea. If Felix is ready, what do you think?
Sure, can try to go as quick as possible through. Though I also don't want to take too much off of your time. If you feel more appropriate to move it next week, happy to come back next week as well.
See, that's the thing. No, next week. This will be the last of this type of session. We'd have to sort of make a special one if that's so this is the right time. And I feel like this one is interesting because this is you're bringing your own funds. You're basically just asking for facilitation and admin, if I'm correct. But I will bring up
Exactly.
the page and see. And this
But
might
you
be,
summarized it quite well already.
Yeah.
Yep.
Here we go. And I think we got everything over. This, do I have?
I think it's the last version. Yep.
Okay, yeah, let me.
Usually should be a very short one. The one I shared on the HackMD.
Yeah.
I can drop the link here in the live chat if you want.
Yeah, and that might be good to get it to everyone.
Okay, give me a second.
Thanks, Felix. Oh, it's right here. I got it. I remember where it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Exactly. There we go. But like I mentioned already, yes, very in a nutshell, yes, we offer funds from Mesh side for you guys to host live coding sessions. Objective very simple: train people, train developers on using Mesh, newcomers as well as veterans. I think on live coding sessions, I don't have to say a lot. You are the experts on this. Our own thing is there. We don't have the time to do it ourselves and said, oh, cool. Ideally, let's do it with Gimbalabs. Also is something what isn't really new, actually. We had already Mesh live coding sessions last year, between Q1, Q2, where we had a series of 11 live coding sessions with Gimbalabs and everything about Mesh. And ideally bring this back, yes. Ideally, as a long-term perspective. So once started, ideally, it never stops until the end of the world, sort of. What we can provide, actually, also everything what is on the proposal, it's very soft. Like nothing on this is set in stone. But our first idea on giving a starting point was to say we can offer $250 for the Gimbalabs co-host, who is organizing the session, setting up everything, record, do intro, engage community, etc. Then $250 in ADA as well to the live coder. Then actually, ideally somebody who's well experienced with Mesh and can guide the audience through and teach and train them, and a $500 in ADA allocation to Gimbalabs at general as well. What you deal with it, how you deal it, no idea, totally up to you. From our perspective, it's just important to say, okay, on one side, we want to recognize the contributor who is taking charge of it, but we also want to give something to Gimbalabs as well. Yep. these are fundings which we can provide long term. We have the financial resources to do so. It's decoupled from any proposals. We can be very flexible, very scoped, whatever you guys feel, and see this as a simple starting point, and ideally let it evolve over time as well, right?
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Because because what we've done is okay. Well, let's see. Harsha has a question. Let's go with Harsha.
So Felix, I had a question about you said expert that can present. So I, Emmanuel, Newman, Andrew, we are all like using Mesh anyway for Asteria. So or at least I was wondering, maybe we can do one session. I'm not an expert by any chance, but uh, I was wondering if we can also like take one session and explain like a specific concept that we have worked on and stuff like that, or is it only for someone that is really, really good with Mesh?
Oh, no, can definitely be you guys as well. I think this would very much be up your responsibility to make sure that you always have somebody who can guide the audience through. Who this person is, totally up to you to decide. Ideally, we coordinate. If you have somebody from Gimbalabs available, awesome, let's go for it. If there is some timing or whatnot, and you need somebody from Mesh, then we coordinate with Mesh as well.
Okay.
And this overall, I would generally say that maybe should add to the proposal that you guys would have very much full agency actually on the whole thing, right? We know that your live coding sessions are awesome. We know that we don't have to advise you on this or tell you what to do as a let's say a boring client. Like yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it is true. Like our live coding, go Emmanuel and then James and then Adrian. Yeah, we've got, I think, a lot of input here.
Yeah, like since the project was posted on the Gimbalabs Discord, it's something that I've been much interested in. Yeah, currently I'm also contributing to the Mesh code base in one way, and I would be much happy to jump into it. Yeah, if I'll be allowed to. So
Yep.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yep. Where would I? Okay, thanks, Emmanuel. And then James.
Yeah, I think Emmanuel, you'd be a really good candidate for this, as would anybody on the Asteria team, because you guys are in the point where you have really good questions. And part of what makes a live coding session work is that we're really doing two things at once. First of all, you're teaching a concept about the the stack, right? But you're also putting it in some specific context. And so in that sense, I think this is really exciting because the Asteria work has given you guys that context. So yeah, definitely, and it's a great idea. Felix, have you confirmed that Mesh can provide that expert dev who can make sure to give us the guide under the hood?
Definitely. How we thought about this is to say, ideally, we host this as bounties to Mesh contributors, meaning this currently a group of actually 12 people is growing actually quite a lot, which we can ask and say, hey, cool, hey, we set it up as sort of bounties, but ideally we would coordinate closely with you guys, right? So, for example, as Harsha mentioned before, if you have already somebody ready from Gimbalabs who can do so as well, like I wouldn't have such a strong preference that it's either Gimbalabs or Mesh folks, right? There isn't even some folks who are in Gimbalabs and Mesh, right? So pretty cool as well. So, yep.
Great.
Yes. Okay. Excellent. Adrian.
I really like the proposal for Gimbalabs people. The question would be, how do we make sure that the sessions are really running? So would there be one coordinator or something?
Good question. I think we can do maybe as joint efforts. let's say you use both, for example, Mesh Discord, we can do announcements for the developers there to join the sessions as well on Gimbalabs. Can use as well Twitter or whatnot. But I think ideally, yeah, we can join forces. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it would work.
And yeah, and those two discords are definitely, but then trying to find like where those young mesh developers are hanging out and what their sort of onboarding, or flow, like how does someone find out about it? Like they have an idea to make a blog and a Cardano based app, and how do they trickle through? And I think it's a lot of this Discord, because that's what people do. They go to the website, they do the tutorials, and then they're on the Discord to ask questions. And those questions are what make up a good live coding. And then really to get reputation for these experts, like somebody that is maintaining and contributing, that they become, somebody that people go to and they earn respect, and reputation.
Exactly. And I see this also sitting with Mesh when we think about developer education and onboarding as a general important part of the package, right? On Mesh, on one side, we have the open source tech stack already. This is really good, right? Everything going GitHub, etc. pp. A lot of documentation as well, and Mesh website, for example, the playground, and Discord. So on the async side, we are actually, I think, quite well equipped already to say, okay, go here, go there, etc. pp. Missing right now is really the sync effect, right? The live part of it, where we see even if you provide everything, but you can still, it's sometimes really good to take somebody by the hand, go through it step by step with it, right? The values of live coding sessions.
Yeah.
And from our side, I think that's a good thing, right? That we have already a quite strong infrastructure when it comes about education guidance for developers, and can definitely, yes, make sure this well coordinated as well with the live coding sessions, right? That people know, okay, if you have questions, where do you go next? If you have problems, where do you ask, right?
Yeah. I love the idea of our PBLs as the source material for our live codings, Gimbalabs live codings. If this asynchronous documentation and tutorials on the Mesh website become the source material for these new Mesh live codings, that to me is you have all my full support. I think that's really like the model, like a great model, and you just explained it pretty well, that the async side is already sort of taken care of, and this would work on the synchronous side, because that's where we need it. You need that just-in-time work as people go through the tutorials. Emmanuel.
Yeah, also on what to do the live session on. I think the mesh PBL, maybe there are some things that has changed in mesh right now. You can also follow the guides of mesh PBL, but yeah, it depends on the context of what's mesh what we want to be specific on to. So yeah, if we want to be specific on teaching right from scratch, or we want to go into the you building basic smart building mesh with complex smart contracts. So yeah.
And the mesh PBL, that's actually a good thing. It's also Newman, you hinted on this as well on the PBL, right? We actually did a PBL on the very, I think, James, when was this? Also early last year or even the year before?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Somewhere around there.
Exactly. But since then, from our side, we haven't updated it that much, so it's definitely outdated. Oh hell, it's definitely outdated.
Yeah.
And I think it makes a lot of sense here as well to say definitely. I ideally also see the live coding sessions as something where we can generate the resources as well, which we then can feed into a PBL. But ideally also keeping it maintained over time. Yep.
The first sessions could be even just updating the mesh PBL.
For example, yes.
Okay.
And on the proposal, I've set it right now that ideally we coordinate together with Mesh and Gimbalabs to define agenda, schedule, etc. What should be topics, themes, when, what. Yeah.
Yeah, right here. And would we coordinate with would there be like a point person? Would that be you over at the Mesh side?
I think, yeah, I can go with this one.
Okay. So in thing because I feel like everyone has an understanding of this proposal. What kind of thing can we consent to, and what is the timeline? I guess you would want to start this right away. Would you want to start it after once the main, after the summer, or what's the timeline?
No fixed timeline yet. Whenever we feel ready.
Okay.
Can be tomorrow, can be in a month from now. Yep.
Okay.
And also speaking timeline, on the proposal I outlined is also up to define. Right now, I thought about 2 live coding sessions per month. If we go bi-weekly, can be more, can be less as well. Totally up to you guys.
It is sometimes nice. Okay.
Felix, if we took a little bit of time of summer to get ready for this, but didn't launch the live sessions until, say, August, how would that feel?
Definitely. Let's do.
Okay.
And also from the side, if there are people stepping up from Gimbalabs and say, hey, cool, they want to take the lead also on organizing, also happy maybe to adjust rewards there as well. Because if you spend time in ideating, organizing the thing, yeah, should be compensated as well.
Okay. Okay. And basically looking for commitments and a team or a framework. Would this be distributed through an Andamio project? That would be a question. And that would be, I guess,
Yeah, we would definitely want to use it. And I'm happy to help on the administrative side from making space for this. And I think when we close out this session, there's a few things we got to go over about the administration of each of these, and it's likely that we will be doing some asynchronous admin in the Gimbalabs Discord, right? So we have a bunch of work that's now approved. We have budgets for this work, but making sure that it actually happens and funds get to where they need to go. We're not going to solve that all today. And so there's going to be some follow-up.
And that's the need for some Andamio training, how to set up these projects, how to go through the screens and do that would be a real benefit. Yep.
Correct. Yeah, let's assume that will happen in the next few weeks, and all plans will be shared in Gimbalabs Discord. Okay, so anybody interested, please make sure to be part of the Gimbalabs Discord, and we'll be following up there through the next few weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds good. And one last thing I would love for you to think about as well is that you see Mesh as an example here, our old friend who now comes as client. To say, I ideally see this as a blueprint template, what you can adapt to other projects maybe as well, right? Where you see, cool, this is from your experience, what works, what doesn't work, and ideally able to duplicate this to other projects later.
Yes, sir. We were just talking to Chris about this yesterday. Blink Labs will be duplicating this work somehow. So
perfect. This is good to hear. It's awesome.
Yeah, very good.
Excellent. So I think, we can put this into this is a budget inflow. And we can move it from planning to in progress. If we want to do a consent round, it feels like this is the right time.
I mean, there are no budget spent from the Gimbalabs treasury, so do we even need a consent round?
Well, the one that's a good question. It's there are two parts to the resources, and that's Gimbal Labs ADA Treasury, but then also Gimbal Labs community time and commitment. Someone wrote in the chat, oh, it's Harsha, that James is not going to get his summertime deep work break. Because that is a commons resource, like all of our what we can commit to. And so that's what we're consenting to. Is there someone here that is committed to working through this project? Do you feel like it's a good avenue for contribution from the Gimbal Labs community? Based on the proposal and what Felix has said. For my part, yes. I feel like it's leveraging all of our past experience and expertise in this type of education and developer training. And I feel like it's a win-win type of situation. So for my part, yes. Let's round. We'll get another one in. Nori and then Monique. They may be
From my side, no concerns, no objections.
excellent. Thank you, Monique, and then Martin.
Hello. No concerns, no objections from here.
Cool. Martin and Lewis, thank you.
Looks good, guys.
Excellent. Lewis, what do you think?
I love it. I mean, I'm with it.
Nice.
Positive remarks on my end.
Excellent. Thank you, Lewis. Jorge and then Harsha.
Looks good to me, guys.
Cool. Harsha, then Emmanuel, then CodeCow.
No objections from me. I'm actually excited for it. Yeah.
This is going to be fun. CodeCow and Emmanuel, then CodeCow and
Yeah, I'm super excited for it. Yeah, it's good, very good.
All right, CodeCow, then James. Yeah. Jethro.
I think it's great. I'm tentatively interested in maybe doing some videos if anybody wants to collaborate or whatnot. I don't know if I can't commit to anything right now. I don't want to overload myself, but it's cool. I love it. No objections.
Cool. And Adrian.
Yeah.
Or no, Jethro.
No
Jethro, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. No objections from me. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, Jethro. Adrian, what do you think?
No objections. I will not be very helpful as I'm not front-end dev, but yeah, good proposal.
Nice. You could be the noob in the front end. You could be the noob. And then James.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. I'm aware that we still have some implementation work to do, but I'm excited to have exciting things to lean into this summer. This is nice.
Yeah. And and hopefully not overtaxing and passion sort of projects. So not hearing any objections, I feel like we can move from planning to in progress with the coordinating and planning of these future mesh live coding sessions.
Hmm.
What do you think?
Amazing.
All right, here we go. In progress, hooray. All right.
But that's cool. Thanks a lot, everybody, for positive feedback and taking the time. Thanks.
Thanks, Felix.
Thank you, Felix. Yeah, for sure. It's great to hear your voice.
Likewise. Sometimes I miss you a little bit, guys. But nice to nice to cross paths every now and then.
Oh man. Beautiful. Okay. Boy, we have been going for 2 hours. I definitely want to hear from Lewis. And can we do that now? Can we stretch it one last little bit before before we take a break?
Yeah, and let's assume there won't be a dev stand-up today. We're doing really important work of getting summer set up, and it's much more important than any small things we could cover at a stand-up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, let's get through these summer plans. Let's leave it in a place where we know what our next steps are.
Okay. Wow. Look at what we did. Oh my goodness. Okay. Lewis, do you have a link to share or did you create I don't know if you're in the Notion.
No, I'm not
Oh,
in the Notion. I'm still figuring things out. But I
yeah,
do have a Google Docs. I'll probably edit it and because it's still a work in progress right now.
of course.
Um, I just got feedback from Ian yesterday, right? And then I have I had more questions, and then so now I'm waiting for more feedback from him. But I'll edit the full thing once everything is complete. But I'll probably spend what, maybe like 10 minutes. So
Okay.
let's keep anyone waiting. But what I wanted to work on this summer was Jambala, right? Uh, Specifically the icon druid. So Jambala is part of the bigger picture, is literally the bigger picture. So under Jambala, there is a Jambala icon and the icon druid. These are all submodules of Jambala,
Okay.
right?
Do you have that doc to share or
Oh, yeah, for sure. One
yeah,
second.
I can bring it up here.
Or I can just share my screen.
However you like.
Okay, one second.
Nice. Okay.
All right, fantastic. So, as I said, I'll just read it out. So, uh-huh. So smart contract development has been is at a pivotal moment. ICANN has really reduced the barriers of entry to writing smart contracts, but interacting with them still requires a bit of knowledge, right? So beginners, even developers like us, face unnecessary friction from writing Haskell scripts to building full stack apps, right? And this is not the main idea of Jambala, but now what we wanted to focus on was the icon droid, which is removes the friction by delivering a web-based browser visual utility. I can show you that real quick, but it's a bit messy. But yeah, so it literally just helps people compile contracts faster on the testnet and later maybe the mainnet. That's the goal. So now one of my goals for this summer was to complete the icon droid. So everything else can proceed. There's a backlog of items. And when I heard you guys were doing the summer program, I'm like, maybe I should work on this and get inputs from Gimbalabs team as well. Because some of the tools being used, for example, Mesh. Yeah, for example, Mesh. And before previously was Ogmios. So yeah. So my intended outcome for this summer was to complete the UI for the Druid. And one of the biggest challenge I'm facing right now is to offset the Plutus.json file. Uh, what I did was I manually moved it, but I need to find a way to offset it. So yeah, offset it properly. So yeah, I'm trying to rush through this.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah.
So front-end completion, functionality enhancement, yeah, a configurable path for the Plutus file, and then enable standalone without using the Jambala structure, and then test nets, and then write a full-on documentation, right? So another thing, I feel like whatever I'm working on aligns with you guys because I'm doing my 100 days of code. So for the PPBL, I could be posting it on social media. Also for the Mesh, because I need to understand Mesh because it's one of the toolings I'm using for Jambala. So, I mean, for the Jambala, sorry, the icon drill. Yeah. So it's just me and Ian at the moment. So one of the things I required and wanted was the community testing and continuous feedback. Like I get inputs from you guys as we're walking through the summer. No, yeah. Yeah, I think that pretty
Yeah,
much
nice.
that breaks it down pretty much. And I mean, they did a good job. I mean, unless there's any questions, I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so any clarifying questions about the proposal?
Yeah, I got two quick questions.
Okay.
Is there a budget that you guys are putting up for this project?
No. I was actually my main goal was to complete this is so we can get access to the remaining funds. So I was here asking for help in terms of contributing it.
Okay.
In order to complete the icon grid. Yeah.
Okay. So this is a community resource. You guys need help finishing the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so we're not gonna have time today to set any processes in motion about getting this going, right? Because we need a little bit more time to put this in front of the group in a way that we can really understand what you're asking for in terms of resources. And the main resource you're asking for is people's time. And we
Yeah.
are at a moment where we're about to take some time off this summer. Um,
No.
that said, Odin has put in place a structure for summertime experimentation. And so I'm wondering if anybody who's already part of that Odin project can imagine one of the weeks this summer, maybe reaching out to Lewis and spending a little time on this. Is that a informal commitment that maybe anybody's in position to make?
Also on top of sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, let's I will get in contact with you on Discord. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Cool.
Yeah.
And
And then
Lewis, could you share the Google
oh
Doc
yeah, sorry.
in the forum there or in the chat?
Okay, I shall.
Yeah. And then that being said, I definitely think this could fit into the short some part or some piece to sort of bring focus and socialize or to get because it's a collaborative thing, the Odin Summer of Collab. So if there was a spot where you needed more people or if you wanted to sort of get a group to work together on one component, I don't think that you could complete things, but maybe one small feature or something that you could do in a 5-day work week sprint, or some of those sprints are two. So that could be something that an ongoing project over through Odin, and that I definitely think that would fit there. Focusing in mostly on the collab side, getting more people working in concert on the project.
Yeah, as well as I mean, this is a side piece I'm working on. So down the line, that's when the contributions and the feedback will come in.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, as I'm reading into Jambala and breaking down the code in depth, because the guys here need it, and that's what I'm working on. I could be helping you guys. I mean, I'm doing 100 days, so I'm on my desk the whole day.
Well, I see your 100 days. That's what I was, I see your 100 days as definitely something that we would want to support, because basically I'm hoping that everybody does 100 days. Like that's sort of what the summer is. It's like, okay, I'm not going to be doing my normal meetings, and I've got time in my schedule to do something fun and edifying. So yeah, I'm looking forward to supporting you in that for sure. The 100 days is definitely a thing, and I hope that everybody or that there's a group of people that do this together. That's basically how Harsha and I got our collab going, is we did the CS50 together. Um, I guess we've been collaborating from before that, but it's just a fun thing to do in a community because there's a genuine like support there. Um, Yeah, but this is but the Aiken Druid, for whatever reason, I don't know if you'd mentioned it before, but I thought it was an official Aiken project. I thought that the crew over there was building this out, but it's a community project. That's cool.
I mean, it's only Ian and I who are building it, but it's literally a sub-module that needs to work on its own. So, and for us to proceed, we need to like work on that and then get back to the main full project. And then one of the other goals was to find out how whatever we're building can come into, well, can come help out the Gimbalabs team, also the mesh team. So I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. So in as
Yeah.
much as I'm building on Jambala, I'm also finding ways on how it's going to help.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
does seem like it's a developer, and especially a junior developer tool as something. It's like a quick way to like a what do they call it? A work uh, playground, like a playground.
exactly.
Yeah. I never know how did those work. Even on the Mesh website, Felix, I'm like, okay, run this snippet, and I'm like, what? Connect a wallet. It's even that sometimes trips me up, especially if I get dehydrated. I have to keep drinking.
Nice.
All right. Newman starts to break down at 2 hours.
Woo!
That's an established thing. Um,
We're not getting younger, huh?
Yeah.
Not at all.
Do you guys, do you guys
Oh,
remember our 5, 6 hour non-stop sessions? Like,
oh,
book it up and
That's
what?
right. Well,
Oh
I
man.
was just thinking about that, Felix. Like things really sped up here once there were only a couple of sessions left.
Mm.
So
yeah, yeah,
there's some reflection to do, right? Like these open spaces sessions, there's a small group of us who have been doing this for many months. There was a long time in the first quarter of this year where, 6 or 7 people would show up for this weekly session. And it's kind of heartbreaking. It's like, well, look at how there's been 18 people here the last 2 weeks.
yeah,
Now that there's only 2 weeks left to do it, right? And
yeah,
so I want to think about this resource matters, and there's reasons for this time to exist. And I don't think we're ending open spaces forever. But I do think it's really helpful that we're stepping back to do as Newman described it, right? This opportunity to do deep work. We do have some work ahead of us. We were not able to finish this consent process to a point where it feels satisfying to close down this session. But that's what we're going to do anyway, with the knowledge that there is some asynchronous work to do. So if you're part of one of these proposals, please know that coordination will happen in Discord, in the Gimbalabs Discord, okay? We'll do our best to ping each other and make sure that responsible parties know next steps and what their decisions are. We'll do as much as possible to support and make sure that things we've consented to are actually going to happen. But need to make sure that if you are part of a proposal, you're taking responsibility over these next few weeks, just to make sure that you know what you need to know in order to get it working. We're going to lean on the Odin work to give in-person space to some of these conversations. But let's assume that there may be a little bit of governance happening here at Gimbal Labs over the next few months. Okay.
yeah,
Does that sound okay if we're committed to keeping it async? But this is not about taking vacation, even though I hope people do take some time off away from their keyboards this summer. This is really about embracing a season where we can do deep work in a way that is not always easy, when your maker blocks are interrupted by meetings.
yeah, yeah. It's something about the routine of it. It's like you want to break down the routine and do short and do sprints. Like, okay, this is my project. I'm recording videos. This is my project. I'm building tooling. That's my thought. Um, that the workaday routines kind of go away and that we can really focus in on these very specific projects.
Manuel, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's been great. I thank everyone. I'm just completing my mind to thank everyone on this space. Yeah, um, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Yeah, and on our project, we are ready to bootstrap things. Yes, and I don't know. It's still on the planning. Sorry, the proposal. Um, yeah, maybe Neiman can help with taking it to the what's it called? Planning. Yeah, so we can start things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would propose that we let's in the admin channel just make sure that our list is complete of the projects that are now in progress. The ones that are running based on proposals that were consented to today. Let's set up a summer category in the Gimbalabs Discord where each of these summer projects has its own unique channel. And Emmanuel, you can expect to find a channel for the project that you had consented to last week. Expect a channel there. And we'll make sure to ping everybody so that you can do ongoing planning, whatever logistics there still are, right? Making sure that you have the team you need to accomplish the project that we've been talking about. Let's get that set up over the next day or so. And then, yeah, so these are, yeah, we might want a top level category. Um, the circles are fine, but that term is not familiar to everybody. So I recognize that sometimes people struggle to find something there. So let's just, yeah, let's set up a new category with a channel for each of the projects that are now in progress and have funding and consented to work to do.
Okay, new channel that's or a new category,
Yeah.
and then a new channel for all in progress proposals.
Yeah.
Yeah, Newman and I think we can get that done today or
Yeah,
tomorrow
we
at,
can do it.
at
All right.
Yeah,
most.
we
Yeah.
can do it.
Thanks.
And everybody's cool with that, like because we do want to like not just change the Discord, but I feel like that's a and that will signify that hey, there's something different going on at Gimbal Labs. Like this is a the summer feel. We could that would be I think that would be really really good. And what would you call it? What would you call that new category?
Summer projects.
Okay. Okay. Good.
That my only problem with the word summer is that it emphasizes the northern hemisphere. So if you got another,
Oh yeah.
And relate.
yeah, sorry, it's
That is
impossible.
true.
It's impossible to,
Yeah, what would it be like if we were Australian or New Zealand or sub
Damn it, it's
Africa?
snowing outside. What are you people talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Well, I mean,
snowing.
would it just be like you're like, oh, would it sort of like fade into the background, or would it always be like kind of like, I'm in this house, like what would it be like,
Oh,
is Colombia is like what about in South America? Is that I guess I mean Colombia is equatorial, so it doesn't change. Anybody in anyway, yeah. We'll think on
yeah.
uh something on how to de northern hemisphere it. Okay.
But yeah, what if we just say current projects, right?
Yeah, current.
Current projects, there's a bunch of focused projects happening at Gimbal Labs. There is a non-zero amount of administration that needs to happen for these projects, right?
Yes.
Our work is not done. Gimbal Labs is not shutting its doors for the summer. It's just that we're having fewer meetings and we have to have a place to work asynchronously in a way that people know what's going on.
Yeah.
And just because there are not official meetings, of course, that means that if a couple of people need to get together, you can plan a meeting with each other, right? It's just that we're taking these, it's a lot of commitment to commit to 4 meetings per week. And so that's the thing we're shutting down for the next few months because people need some space to focus. But that, of course, you should meet with your project team if you're working on a project together.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Love it. What do you think?
I
Feels
think it's
like
time.
I feel
Everyone's
like it's
drained out.
time.
2.5 hours, that'll do.
That'll do, pig. That'll do. And then I'm glad to have like a little bit of a recap of like, hey, look at what we did over the last few months.
Yeah.
I'm really stoked about coming back and sort of seeing how we can iterate and make a better Gimbal Labs with that serves everyone's needs in a better way and keep the process going. I think Felix being here and sort of highlighting, underlying like what Gimbal Labs means to the whole community is definitely a big deal. And just remembering the the momentum or the drift that we've built out over time and really appreciating it. For myself, I'm super appreciative of the time here. Yeah, wonderful.
Same. Thanks, y'all. Thanks for the facilitation this season.
Yay.
Great things.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And lots of respect to all of you. Like I think you add a lot of value to the ecosystem. You really do. So thanks for keeping Gimbalabs going and alive, guys.
Yeah. Let's go, Mets.
Thanks for all you do, Felix.
All
Yeah.
right.
Thanks, y'all. A lot more to come. Be in touch. Great season, and see you very soon.
See you on the flip side.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Ciao.